Hi, I'm Danny and these are my Diecast Disasters. In this video I'm going to be customizing a couple of kind of odd little cars, the Matchbox Superfast Cosmobile and Planet Scout. These were both released in 1975. The Planet Scout was discontinued in 79 and the Cosmobile in 78. This chunky wee red and tan model is the Planet Scout. And in blue and yellow is the Cosmobile. I'm not sure what the idea behind these couple of space vehicles was at the time. They look kind of in the style of Thunderbirds or Joe 90. If anyone in the comments knows any more about them, feel free to let us know. Whatever they are about, they are sure an odd looking pair of cars. And I'm going to see if I can do something a little bit cooler with them. So let's just take a quick look at them off of the turntable. This is the Planet Scout. Not in the worst condition, a little play worn. The paint is a little chipped. Some of the chrome is missing. The windscreen has a few minor scratches and scuffs on it. Plenty of rivets on the bottom of this thing. And our Cosmobile, again, it's in pretty good condition really. A little bit of chipping and scuffing, a little bit of oxidation on the windscreen of this one. A lot of missing chrome. Really a terrible choice of colours. I begin the customization by drilling out the rivets and taking the cars apart. There we go. Now I can strip the paint off of the cast parts with some poly stripper. And here they are with most of the paint stripped off them. I next give them a cleanup with wire brushes on my rotary tool, removing any oxidation and remaining paint scraps, so they're nice and clean, ready for painting. Here they are after burnishing. I give them a wash in some isopropyl to remove any grease, and then they are painted with white primer. I paint in a base coat of some shadows with some black paint. Then this was all sprayed over with a mixture of grey and off-white. Next, to add a little bit of detailing here on the cars, on the rear of this Planet Scout, I'm going to paint the lights here sort of different rainbow colours. And the rear strip on the Cosmobile, I'm going to paint blue. I also painted some of the other details like the rear grills and booster here in a dark steel colour. Once I was happy with the painting and detailing, it was time to add some shading. I first paint on a black wash. I next take a small cloth and rub most of it back off, focusing on the exposed areas and leaving some wash in the detail lines and the corners and angles, etc. This leaves me with a nice shaded but grubby look. I think it looks good for a space machine. I don't rub as much of the wash off of the base parts, so they're a little bit more shaded, particularly around the wheel wells. This effect is repeated on both of the vehicles. I've printed out some decals here. I'm going to give the vehicles some Weyland Corp livery. Weyland Corp, building better worlds. Once the decals were well dried, I finished them with a coat of satin varnish. Moving on now to the plastic parts. Let's start by taking a look at the interiors. They have the classic chrome finish. We're not going to be wanting that, so the first thing we'll do is to remove it. I do this with a jar of hot water from the tap. It's not too hot. I put in a spoonful of caustic soda and then drop in the chromed parts. Here they are a few minutes later. You can see all the chrome has pretty much come off and floated to the top of the water. Here they are after a good rinsing. Remember not to touch the caustic water as it will give you a bit of a chemical burn. I start painting the interior parts with a coat of black paint. I want the interiors just to be black, so I'm going to mask them off. I then painted the unmasked parts in gunmetal and the rear section there on the Cosmobile in metallic blue. I finished these parts by giving them some highlighting with metallic weathering powders. They were then fixed with a satin varnish. The remaining plastic parts, there wasn't really much to do. Here are the base plates which hold on the wheels. I just gave these a fresh coat of satin black. Quiet there, doggy. I gave the windscreens a really good wash in some hot soapy water. I kind of liked the fact they're a little bit scuffed as it suits the space vehicles. And finally, I'm going to replace the wheels with these Hot Wheels sort of spoked ones. All I did with them was painted them in satin black. So here are all of our parts painted and ready to go back together. But before we take a look at the finished articles, I'm going to make a space-based crater diorama base to photograph them on. I start with a piece of wood. Next I use some filler or spackling, I think they call it in the United States. I use this to build up the base for my craters. In hindsight, I should have gone right to the outside of my board, so if I do this again, I'll definitely do that. I've learned this technique for making the craters from Eons of Battle channel, so go check him out. While the filler is still wet, I place a couple of rocks. Once this was dried, I built up around the edges of my crater with some broken up pieces of cork. I then used some more of the filler to fill in around these. Next step was to add a few stones, so I began by painting glue over the surface. I then sprinkle on a few stones here and there. Once the first glue layer had mostly dried, I sprayed on a good amount of scenic cement to help to fix the stones in place. Here they are the next day once it's all nice and dried. I now paint it grey. I give it a dry brushing with some white paint. It is given a black wash with some wash made out of just a few drops of black paint and some water. And I finish it all with another good dry brushing of white paint. With our terrain base completed, we can now go back and take a look at our finished cars. But just before we do that, we better take a look back and be reminded of what we started with. The first of our odd looking couple, the Planet Scout, and its fairly naff metallic red and tan paint job, but perhaps a cool candidate for a customizing. Let's see how it came out. And here it is, the terrible colour scheme gone, replaced with a grey space style weathered paint job. It's got some nice new modern looking black wheels, and it's been put into service working for the Weyland Corporation. Do you think it looks like something that Ripley could leap in and outrun a xenomorph with? And the possibly even odder looking of the two, the Cosmobile. Most of its hideous blue and yellow paint job is still there, but it's missing a lot of chrome, and it just in general doesn't look very great like this. So let's see how it came out. And here it is, our finished Weyland Corp Cosmobile. Again, the terrible original paint job has been removed, replaced with our grey weathered space look. It's got some cool decals on it, some nice new modern black looking wheels. Do you think you'd jump in it and go explore an abandoned ancient alien ship? Anyway, I think they came out looking much cooler than original. You can let me know what you think in the comments. I'll now just say big thanks to everyone for the awesome comments and likes on my videos, and a big welcome to all of my new subscribers, and an extra special thanks to my awesome Patreon supporters. Welcome to my newest Patreon, Jim Silver. Go and check out his Diecast channel. And all that's left is for me to say thanks for what... Hang on. Wait. I think there's something in here with me. No!